So, if you read the abstract for this session, that was written by Professor Red Tape. He couldn't make it today, so instead, you got a slightly more practical version. Every story needs a villain, and in the world of governance, this is ours. And every villain needs someone to keep things moving. That's where Captain Governance comes in. Let me show you how this story usually goes. Meet Professor Red Tape. His solution to governance: we just need a few more approvals. And before long, you've built a system that blocks itself. Now, this was already a challenge with traditional models, but with AI, and especially large language models, that complexity grows fast. More models, more use cases, less visibility. This is where things get interesting, because a lot of organizations look at this and they say, well, that is governance, but it's not. That's gridlock. And with AI, especially LLMs, gridlock isn't just inefficient, it's risky. Now you're dealing with hallucinations, bias, inconsistent outputs, and regulatory pressure. So what if governance didn't slow you down, but actually helped you move faster? This is where we take a different approach. Let's make governance work. And more importantly, let's make it visible. Let's start with something foundational: visibility. In most organizations, LLMs are popping up everywhere, across teams, across use cases, often without a central view. Here, we can actually see what models exist, where they're deployed, and how they're being used. Governance starts with knowing what you have. Now let's talk about risk. With traditional models, we focus on performance and drift. With LLMs, we expand that to include hallucination risk, bias, explainability challenges, and prompt sensitivity. Here, we can document intended uses, model limitations, evaluation results, and governance decisions. So instead of guessing, we have structured accountability. Now, this is where Captain Governance really separates from Professor Red Tape. Instead of endless approvals, we introduce structured, transparent workflows. The right people review the right things at the right time. Not more approvals, but better approvals. Now, if we go back to Professor Red Tape for a second, his answer to complexity is more complexity. Another review, another committee, another escalation framework. Of course it is. But governance doesn't have to look like that. You can centralize your model inventory. You can actually see your risk. You can track the full life cycle end to end. We can also bring transparency to data and model lineage. This includes model maps and relationships across your ecosystem. So you're not just seeing the model. You're understanding where it came from, what data it depends on, and how it connects across your ecosystem. For LLMs, LLMs, monitoring becomes even more critical. We can track key indicators like hallucination rates, accuracy, and output quality. Model Manager calculates these metrics, and Model Risk Management governs them. And when thresholds are breached, findings can be automatically created in the system. We can even govern prompts themselves. With a centralized prompt repository, supported by SAS Viya data and governance tools, you gain control over how LLMs are being used. Because with LLMs, the prompt is part of the model. We also support structured AI assessments, including AI-specific risk assessment forms. So governance isn't ad hoc. It's standardized, repeatable, and auditable. And I'll remind everyone, SAS, at its heart, is a software company. We build great software. But we will never say that our software alone will make you 100% compliant with any regulation. What we can do is give you the tools and the power to take on AI governance challenges with the gusto of a superpowered superhero. This is what modern governance looks like. Govern, monitor, and act. This is usually the moment where people ask, so fewer approvals? No. Better approvals. At the end of the day, governance shouldn't be something you fight against. It should be something that helps you move faster with more confidence. If you want to see how this works in practice, come find Captain Governance, that's me, or scan the code and see it in action. So that's the difference between governance that blocks progress and governance that actually moves you forward. And if you were wondering, Professor Red Tape didn't make it to Innovate this year, but I did. And that is the final. From Red Tape to Real Results, I'm Tiffany Hodge. Max is my boss, and this has been my presentation. And you're late, Brophy. Opening up to questions if you have any. Thank you. Ta-da.